All praise, glory, and honor is most certainly due to the Most High Elohim of the patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I want to say peace to each and every one of you in the name of his son, Yehoshua HaMashiach, who we know as Jesus the Christ. It's always a blessing each and every single time that I can come before you to bring a message contained in his word and never do account it as a light thing to do so. Today's message is a continuation of yesterday's message. It's part of a series that I'm doing on Bible basics, basic tenets contained in the word that we need to understand. And much of this that I'm going over deals with false doctrine. So in this particular message, I'm combating the false doctrine of law nullification. Now we understand that the sacrificial law is not something that we follow because it was fulfilled in Yehoshua, it was fulfilled in Jesus. We know that his death was the sacrifice that all the other sacrifices, from the sin offering to the atonement, Passover, etc., all pointed to. It is even why the veil in the temple rent in two when he was crucified and gave up the ghost, showing you no more sacrifice for sin was necessary. We understand that. Hopefully, as Christians, you understand that. But now, what many Christians misunderstand is the notion or the idea that somehow the law, the moral law, has been nullified or done away with because Christ died. While it is true, as I talk about quite often, justification, meaning being seen as just before the Father or righteous before the Father, perfect before him, does not come in the keeping of the law. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Justification comes through the redeeming blood of Christ. And so this is how you get it. But that being said, are we to do away with the law because of grace? As Paul said, God forbid. We established the law. It is really ridiculous to think that because of sin, which brought death into the world and brought corruption into the world, and made the sacrifice of Christ, who was Elohim in the beginning, make his sacrifice necessary. And then not only that he came and walked as flesh, Emmanuel, flesh and blood man, and then did this perfectly, who was without sin. He died because we sinned, and yet now because he died, we can continue in sin. Brothers and sisters, that be the devil's argument. And any minister that is telling you that is a minister of Satan. So, what I want to deal with right now is looking at the words of Christ to show that he indeed did not nullify the law. Clearly, he did not. When you see his words, you should understand, quite frankly, what we're supposed to do. And what we're supposed to do is walk as perfectly as possible in our obedience to the law, and couple that with the faith in Christ. Okay? For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. So we're going to pick it up in the Gospel according to Matthew. The Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 5, beginning at verse 18. It says, "For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled." Okay? So right off the bat, it doesn't sound like he's doing away with the law, but we just don't want to read one verse. We want to continue to read and get a better understanding of what is being said. Verse 19. "Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven." So does it sound like he's doing away with the law? It sounds like he has an issue with those who would teach that you don't have to keep the law. He has an issue with those that say they don't have to keep the commandments. And those, he said, whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. Then he's going to tell you about these religious factions in his day. This is verse 20. He says, "For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. I know he's already said, think not that I come to destroy the law of the prophets. I came not to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, 1 John 1, till it shall no wise pass in the law till all be fulfilled. Then notice what he says here. He talked about the religious factions. Now these religious factions describes the Pharisees, the Sadducees. They had a law, but what they did not have was the correct mindset. Their approach to the law was corrupted because their minds were corrupted. Okay? So now, he says in verse 21, ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. Right? So he takes you back unto the 10 Commandments. Right? Thou shalt not kill is one of the, or which should be interpreted as thou shalt not murder, is one of the 10 Commandments. Now, if he's dealing with null nullification, surely he will be telling us, but you have me now, so you don't have to worry about it. If you do murder someone, you're going to be in the kingdom as long as you believe. He never said that. What he did say was this, but I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raka, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. So I ask, brothers and sisters, is he tightening the reins or is he loosening the reins? In other words, is he removing a standard or is he showing us how we're actually supposed to think? Because if we think in this fashion, if we think in a way in which we are not even angry with a brother without a cause or without a good reason, then we certainly won't murder our brother. See, you understand that? Do you understand that the battle is won and lost on the plane, the spiritual plane of the mind? And if you can control your thinking, you can control your actions. So he's teaching us how we should think. He shines the light on the lights on the law. Because really, what is it not to kill? Right? Is it? I mean, but we must change our way to thinking and be more like him. And then we remove ourselves and become further and further away from the act of sin because we've changed our minds and our thoughts. Right here, our thoughts are where our actions are born. All right. So sin begins in the mind. So he's saying you must change your way of thinking. So let's pick it up at verse 27. He says, ye have heard that it hath been said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. Again, another one of the 10 Commandments, right? This capital murder and adultery are both capital punishments. Clearly, we're not supposed to do them. But he never took this off the table. But notice what he says. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. So what does that mean? Is that talking about any woman? Just a side note, it's not. Okay? Clearly, if a man's married, it is not saying you can't lust after your own wife. Or even, it's not even talking about a single woman here. It's talking about, contextually, a woman that belongs to another man. Right? This is someone else's Isha, or woman. So he says, but I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. Kind of like when you read the book of Job, where Job around the 31st chapter says, I made a covenant with mine eyes that I should not even look upon a maid to lust after her. What is he saying? He's saying he's not going to look upon a woman that is off limits. Okay? So that is tightening the reins. And brothers and sisters, this goes right along with the new covenant. Because people will say, well, I'm under the new covenant. I no longer have to keep the law. Well, let's read a couple things here. Let's go to Matthew the 28th chapter. Matthew the 26th chapter. Matthew 26, and notice what Christ says. He says in verse 26, Matthew 26 and 26. Now this is the day of the Passover. He came and died on the Passover. The lamb without blemish and without spot, a perfect lamb. That's why even when John the Baptist saw him, he said, behold the Lamb of God which taketh away the sin of the world. We must come up under his blood. This was shown through them coming up under the blood of all those lambs of the ancient times, of old. But nevertheless, it says in Matthew 26 and 26, and as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, take, eat. This is my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, drink saying, drink ye all of it. For this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. Remission is forgiveness. So that's the new covenant, right? He shed his blood for the new covenant. But what actually does the new covenant say? What is the new covenant? And that's what we need to understand. And when we understand that, we can better understand that we have to be obedient to the law. That's what we need to know. So now let's go to Hebrews, the 8th chapter. Hebrews, the 8th chapter. And we'll pick it up at verse 7. Hebrews, the 8th chapter, and verse 7. He says, for if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. For finding fault with them, he said, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Okay, so, and this is an allusion. You find this in Jeremiah, the 31st chapter, around the 31st verse. Okay, so first and foremost, the covenant is made with the same people. Again, I'm going to read that. He says, I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Okay, so now he makes this statement here, and then it says, well, he allusion here, then he says, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant and regarded them not, saith the Lord. Notice what he says here. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts. And I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. He was going to write it in your heart. And if it's written in your heart, what's that? It's you changed your way of thinking. So again, that's why he came teaching. He's written, "Thou shalt not commit adultery." But I say unto you, you shouldn't even look upon a woman to lust after her. Right? He said, you lust after her, committed adultery with her already in your heart when you do that. So what is he requiring us to do? Let's go back to Matthew the 5th chapter. Matthew the 5th chapter and verse 48. He's shining a light on the law, tightening the reins, showing us how we're supposed to think about the law. Then he says this at the end. He says in Matthew 5 and verse 48, be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. You see the standard? There has to be a standard. The standard is the law. Okay, this is how we know how we're supposed to walk. Right? Romans 7 and verse 12 says, wherefore the law is holy and the commandment holy and just and good. That's what the standard of morality is. Let's go to Psalms. Because he said, walk before me, be thou perfect. According to what, though? What is this standard of perfection? Let's pick it up at Psalms, the 19th chapter. Psalms 19. And we'll pick it up at verse 7, where it says, the law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Okay, so brothers and sisters, that's just a little bit about Christ and what he said pertaining to our observance to the law. He said, think not that I'm going to destroy the law, I came not to destroy but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. So that's just a little bit, brothers and sisters, on law nullification and just showing you that he has not done away with the law at all, by any means. And in thinking that he has done that, you actually need to be careful of such a thought, because it only leads you to sin. And this is really basic You know, if you don't get out of all your reading that you're supposed to be obedient and flee from sin so that you can get a good reward from the Lord, you really don't understand the essence of this book as it is written. Let us to the conclusion of the whole matter, fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man, for God should bring every work into judgment, with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. And with that, brothers and sisters, it is always my prayer that you were edified.